What's up, my fellow gamers? Welcome back to Joe Cobra Gaming. Today I'm going to be bringing you a review of Formula 1 2019. This year they've added F2 to the career mode, and that's a big addition because it's the Formula 1 feeder series. It's where most talent comes from. It comes up and rises from F2 into Formula 1. So it's really cool that they added it here. Unfortunately, it's not the whole season, which is what I thought it was going to be. It's just like 3 races where you get to meet Marcus Weber, who's your teammate, and then you go on to meet another driver called Devon Butler, who is put there for you to hate, basically, for you to want to beat. And I thought these characters would be really annoying, but I think they pulled it off. So these 2 guys, you basically fight with them in these 3 scenario races before you get to Formula 1. Either way, you're going to get into Formula 1 regardless of what happens. When you get to Formula 1, sort of fades away, which is a shame, and I was hoping that they'd continue this all the way through Formula 1, but you only hear things from the commentator about you, Butler and Weber, as you race, which is better than nothing. But I just thought they would have taken that rivalry in much more detail through to the Formula 1 career. What they have done is that they've allowed, for the first time in Formula 1 game history, they've allowed you to change teams, obviously, but this time the AI, the computer, your Hamiltons, your Vettels, they can now swap teams, and it's a very, very welcome feature. And I think Formula 1 fan looking to buy this game is going to be very happy that this is added on, especially me, because this is something I thought for many years that they should have added to the game, and they've been going since 2010. So, you know, it's about time that this was added, and I'm glad Liberty Media is working with the Codemasters and the team to allow them to do this. So that's a very good plus point. The AI has also been improved again this year, as it has been progressively every year. I think the AI now is as good as it can get. You know, they're not afraid to throw one in on the inside, and you know, they pull off some more dangerous moves, making you have to think more about what you do before you overtake or before you get overtaken. Other than these things, there's only been smaller improvements here and there. The podium celebrations are slightly better now, which they were getting very stale. And some of the cutscenes have changed slightly, especially when you first start a qualifying match or a race. The camera pans around the country that you're in and shows off some landmarks, and that's changed, and that's a really good addition. I just really think they should scatter a few more cutscenes here and there just to get you more into your career mode. What they've also upgraded are the character models, which look really good now. For the last few games, it's not really looked at its best, but here they've obviously worked hard with the character models, and they've definitely made an improvement there. Now let's move on to the graphics. The new lighting system is clear to see. This is one of another big additions to the game this year. And you can really tell the lighting when you go to races like Bahrain, Singapore, and Yas Marino. As the race goes on, it turns to night. And here is where you see the floodlights and the circuit lights. They really show off the lighting of this game. Also, the colors and the trackside graphics. I could tell there's a slight improvement there as well. There's more, they stand out more. And the tires as well, if you look when you're racing the car, you can see the sheen and the sort of like the shine and the light hitting off the tires. And of course, later on in the race, or when you're in qualifying or practice and you're running down the tires, you can clearly see that the sheen goes off of them, and you can almost tell when the tires are coming to the end of their life, which again is another really good thing. They're just adding small little things every year that is just making the game better. But all these things are very welcome. And of course, then there's the cars. The cars, of course, they look as amazing as ever. Every single car, including the classic cars, have been done very, very well. So now let's go on to the sound. The car engines, another thing I think has been improved. The Formula 1 engines sound much better than they ever have. And of course, we've got the F2 cars now, and that's a new sound that you'll be hearing, the engines of the F2 cars, and they sound just like they should as well. Codemasters has also given us another commentary team for the F2 part of the game, and that's a very cool surprise as well, because Obviously F2 and F1 have different commentators, and the guys that do the F2 commentary actually, I thought, really done a stellar job for their first time being in the game. Then we have the multiplayer. The multiplayer has seen a lot of changes, and they've added the much anticipated customization to the cars. Now, the customization I thought would carry on through to the career mode, which is a shame that it doesn't. But you can basically just change your helmet. But in the multiplayer, the customization goes for everything. So you can customize the car. There's plenty of like liveries that you can choose from. You can also purchase some, which I'll talk about later. And yeah, it's really cool. You can customize your helmet, and you can also customize your suit and the gloves. And the more customization they add in the future will only make the game better in my eyes. For the multiplayer, you have leagues, you've got weekend events, weekly events. You've also got ranked events, you've got non-ranked events. So there's something for everyone here in the multiplayer. For you guys who are into the competition of Formula 1 driving on consoles, you know, esports is there now, and you don't even have to be some professional driver. There's some qualifying events for people like me and you that just want to try and see how good they are and maybe compete in esports, which I thought was a really good idea. So yeah, if you're into the esports part of it, that's going to be definitely for you. Esports being a big thing of the Formula 1 games in the last couple of years, whereas you get tournaments for fighting games, now you have these tournaments for gamers who want to race in Formula 1. Now let's move on to negatives. Although the game has had what looks like lots of big updates, they're not as big as they seem once you start to play the game. For instance, the F2 season I thought was, you know, a shame that they didn't add the whole season with all that storyline. I would have not minded had they added the storyline to the F2 season and then we went to the F1 and they forgot about it. But to have 3 races and then get G'd up and get to know these drivers and then get to Formula 1, all this storyline material slowly disappear when you get to Formula 1 was a big shame. And, you know, I'm pretty sure you're going to see them do something more along those lines with the next game in 2020. I just wish that it was implemented here better. But, you know, it's nothing that spoils the game. At least it's there, and at least we see that they're giving more attention to the story mode and making it more engrossing. Although there's lots of improvements, the game still kind of feels the same. It's the same cutscenes, the same sort of tracks. I know every now and again we get new tracks, but it's the same tracks again this year. The same sort of cutscenes, sitting in front of the computer between races with your partner opposite. You know, the same staff members, your same manager. It's just a lot of the same from the years before, and you know, it's time that they started to change some of these aspects of the game to keep it fresh, especially if they're going to go with the next game next year. One thing that I've noticed, and I'm sure everyone else will as well, is they've slipped in, they've slyly stuck in microtransactions. They're not in your face, to be honest, and you can get points as you race in multiplayer to buy these things. But microtransactions for the first time, they're here in Formula 1. But like I said, they're not in your face. And there's nothing there that's going to make you better. It's just all about cosmetics. You can basically buy some cool, as well, the cooler stuff is basically stuff that you can buy. So like the paint jobs for the car, the suits, the helmets, the gloves, these are all things that you can buy with money. But you can also unlock these with the points that you get from multiplayer racing. Another thing I noticed was the multiplayer. It seemed to be a little slow, a little hard to connect into a game, which was a bit of a shame, you know, but these things normally are in Formula 1 games the first few days after release, but they normally patch it and it normally does get better. So I can assure you that that's nothing that spoils the game. It's just something I noticed in the first few days after release. They've also added a theatre mode. It's nothing huge, but it's a nice addition again where you can go and look at your cars in all detail. These cars look fantastic and they've done a great job, Codemasters, putting these cars in the game. So yeah, you can go into the theatre and look at all your modern Formula 1 cars and all your classic Formula 1 cars, and that's really cool to see in the game as well. And you also have a little trophy room where you can see your trophies and what you've won, and again, I think that was in the other games, but you know, it's done even better this time. So guys, it's one of the best Formula 1 games ever made, for sure. I just feel that if they don't start changing things next year, it's going to start to be very stale, and you'll probably see review scores get lower. But for what we have this year, I think it's the best Formula One game to date. And they've been going since, like I said, 2010. So they've had a lot of time with this game, and every year it's progressively got better. And it's given us what we have today. So having said all this, I'm going to give, this was a tough one. I was looking to give this a 9. But when I thought about all the things that they need to do and the connectivity in the multiplayer, the F2 career being a bit underwhelming, and some of the microtransactions coming in when I don't think the game needed them, I'm going to go with a very, very, very solid 8 out of 10 for Formula 1 2019. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the review. Please put your comments down below of maybe which one was your favorite Formula 1 game up until now. Please tell me below as well what you think they could add to make Formula 1 games better. I know I always comment on videos about what I think would make the game better. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below. Help me to grow, support the channel, and I'll see you guys next time on the next Joe Cobra gaming video. Take care guys. God bless. Bye bye.